let's talk about Micah, okay, since we're on subject Micah. Paul and Micah's wedding. Okay, so these two were 50-50 for me on whether or not I thought they were going to get married. Paul ended up saying no at the altar, which shocked me, but this is what really shocked me. He said no because Micah asked him, well, not because, but after Micah had, what's the word I'm looking for? Propositioned him to go
Mhm.
first, which I found really, really fascinating of a move. What did you think about Micah doing that?
I again, jaw on the floor. Oh my gosh, this took me out of left field completely because the thing
Mhm,
is like
mhm.
you don't do that. You don't go back to you. Like it's not you don't do that. You answer. That's
Right,
I would think so. I would be so
right.
insulted if my partner did that to me. Um
Yeah.
I would not be okay with that. And I
Mhm,
think that's ultimately what drove Paul to say no. I think he was gonna say yes. And I think that he had to take that in and process a lot within that amount of
mhm,
time, whatever that was, a couple
mhm,
minutes, a couple seconds. I don't know with the editing, but like I don't believe that that was I think right there that that showed where her maturity level is truly at because there were times
mhm,
during the show where I was into Micah and I thought that she was growing. I felt like she had some mean girl tendencies that she was starting to shake off, but then every time that she was with her friends, I felt like those kind of bled back in and then she would have to shake it off
mhm.
again. But overall,
Right.
I just think that that showed the maturity level and that just proved right there that I don't think she was ready to be married and I think that Paul handled it in a very nice way. And even for him going up and trying to console her at the end and talk to her, I haven't really
Mhm.
seen, I don't think, or at least none of them stick out to me. I think that that's the most sincere attempt I've seen at the guy trying to go and actually like talk to the girl after being
Sure. After he
stood
said
up at
no.
the
Yeah.
altar. Yeah. So
Right. Yeah.
I thought it was appalling. What did you think about her reaction with that?
Yeah. Yeah. So when Micah first, said, "Hey, I actually want you to answer first," and even her explanation of why, it's like she was like, "I needed to know like what he was going to do before I could say yes or no." It reminded me of how she was in the pods. And it made me feel like it was a little manipulative because I felt like in the pods, even with Kwame and Paul, she was kind of like, well, I can only fully commit to you if you fully commit to me. You have to do it first. And although I understand like the base of that reasoning, it just comes off very manipulative. It's like you put yourself out there or not. You don't like, well, I'm only gonna like you if you like me. It's like a little childish to me. It's like you either love this guy or not, like, period. You know what I mean? So I felt like it
Mhm.
was just very reminiscent of that. But what was interesting was, Paul's reasoning for why he said he felt like the love actually wasn't reciprocated on Micah's end. Like he felt like she wasn't really fully in. And that made me kind of be like, okay, wait, because Micah was saying that she always felt like she wasn't safe with Paul fully. Like he wasn't all
Mhm.
in. So now I'm like, her running off, her getting so upset, her crying, is it a little fake? Is it like how much did you really, cuz that threw me off too cuz the whole time up into the wedding I was kind of like, this Micah even really like Paul like that? I couldn't really get a grasp on how she really felt. So it was just really interesting. There's a lot to unpack again for the reunion because also my Paul dropped a huge bomb saying that he felt like another reason why he said no was he didn't really feel like Micah had that much of a nurturing side to her in which, he felt like maybe she wouldn't be the best mom. He couldn't envision her being a mom, which is a big thing to say. You know what I mean? And that has to be talked about at the reunion because yeah, that's just a huge huge thing for him to say and my only thing about that is, well, you didn't just figure that out at the altar, right? Like that was something that you had thought about like before. So, Paul and Micah were definitely the main ones honing in on, I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what I'm going to say yet until I
Mhm.
get up there and I'm like, I think you guys knew what you were going to say. So again, a lot for them to unpack. But what did you think about, Paul's statement about Micah not being nurturing? Like where do you think he's getting at with that?
What I think is interesting, if you're going to make a comment like that, I mean, you have to look at the idea of being a lady, right? I mean, I have maternal
Mhm.
instincts. I have a cat. I treat him like my kid. I'm sure you have maternal instinct. There's certain elements of maternal instincts that I feel like you just have and possess. And the
Yeah.
thing is, when you take a shot at somebody like that, you're coming for their wiring. You're not coming for them personally. You're not
Mm,
even coming for their personality. You're coming at like how how a girl is designed, in my opinion.
sure,
So
sure.
I think when you take a shot at that, and also I look at it this way: whether or not you want to even have children, wouldn't you want to be with somebody? Wouldn't you consciously make the decision to continue to nurture a relationship with somebody who does have maternal instincts? So in my opinion, for him to turn around and to say that, it's like, well then, how are you why are you sticking it out then? Wouldn't you want somebody that has
Mm,
maternal instincts, unless you're absolutely not looking to have any kids later on down the road, and even like you don't know if you want that or
yeah.
not. It's easy to get married and say, "Oh, I never want that." And then not that he did, and then change your mind. That happens
Mhm,
all the
mhm.
time. All the time. So
Yeah,
I just think his
yeah.
comment about that is just like I don't appreciate that he made that comment. I
It's
think that that was
interesting.
kind of rude. Um, but
Yeah,
regardless,
interesting.
like why are you nursing a relationship with somebody then
Mhm.
that if you really feel that way, which I don't know whether or not he actually did. If that
Sure.
makes any sense.
Yeah. No, I think that does make sense. I think, what I'll say is maybe that was strong words that he used for something that might have some validity to it because we have to talk
Mhm.
about Micah and her friends. I think that
Yes.
at this point, with the way that Shelby and the other girls were acting at this wedding, I mean, we don't have to see anything more to know that her friends are just they're horrible. They're
They
horrible. It's probably
they set
the most
they s-
despicable side characters in this whole series.
I think they set a record for reality TV. I don't think that I've ever seen so many tweets and memes and comments and posts about people that
About
are
people
featured in the background that are
featured,
affiliated
not
with the
even
main
in the
stars.
cast.
Like
Okay? We know
they're
her name is
iconic at
Shelby.
this point. Yeah.
They're iconic. But at this point, I think that it's reflective
Ah,
of Micah and her character. I mean, even going back
yes.
to Micah getting in the pods and being best friends with Irina, who called her fiance a cartoon character. I mean, it's just like who
Forgot
laughed
about
at
that.
people crying, over getting broken up with. I think at this point, Paul's feelings about, hey, maybe this whole nurturing thing is maybe coming from that. You know what I mean? Because I think that's hard for us to just look over. I mean, it's pretty blatant. So, what do you think about just like Micah's character in general? And how do you want to see that be talked about? Because I think, it's been a year, like I said, maybe she's grown, but what were your thoughts about that?
I think ultimately her character was portrayed in at the altar. I think for her to turn around
Yeah.
and give him the back to you treatment with the I do, and her not being able to answer first
Mhm.
when she's called upon to answer first, I think that
Mhm.
that shows the immaturity level. And I think also for Paul to even have the ability to walk down the aisle and to try to console her after that just happened, and for him to stand there and tell her like, and I truly believe that he meant when he said like I love you, I really do love you. Like, and we've seen other
Yeah.
couples in Love Is Blind history that don't work out at the altar that do give it another shot, that try to remedy
True.
something from the relationship. It's not impossible, you
Mhm.
know. I think that
Yep.
her character was just ultimately shown. I think that that whole scene right there wrapped everything up with a bow for her character throughout the season. I think that her friends
Yeah.
bring her down, and I don't know why she
Mm.
chose those particular girls to bring on to the to the big screen to show, because at the end of the day your friends are a representation of you. Be selective with who you surround
Right.
yourself with, and
Yeah.
I mean, I just think that they had such mean girl tendencies. They remind me of mean girls
Mhm.
from school. That's just kind
Yes.
of
Yes.
where it lies. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Very
it's
immature, just
yeah,
very telling of like where you're at in life to sit here and laugh at this girl crying. It's very
yeah,
telling. And, I hope that Micah sees that, has watched it back and is like, okay, there's some growing here for me to do. Um, And so, yeah, we'll have to unpack that at the reunion. There is so much to talk about. We keep bringing this up
So
because,
much.
some of our questions still aren't answered. At this point,
Right.
Shelby needs to be brought out at the reunion.
She does.
But
Pull up an extra chair.
pull up an extra
I'd love
chair
it if
for
they did
her,
that.
okay? Oh gosh.